Hi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. I am joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hello, hello, hello.
Week 3 is in the books, and I am not satisfied. So let's just jump into the first game, the Thursday night game, Houston, New England. You can never doubt New England. I think we learned that today. Never doubt New England. Never pick against them. They're going to go 16-0. They're going to complete the season. They're going to play the Giants in the Super Bowl because the Giants will somehow get there. But this time they'll get rid of the skeleton in their closet. That I have predicted the future for this year. You can all just stop watching football
Oh man.
because the Patriots with their third string quarterback in a short week shut out the Texans. 27 to nothing. The Texans only got into their territory in one drive in the third quarter.
Which really is a testament to how Bill Belichick game plans for a team. That screams Bill Belichick right there. But we'll get into that in a little bit. It's more about what the Texans were not able to accomplish in this game, and that was playing really effective defense or offense in this game.
The offense was hella conservative. 3rd and 8, they chose to run. Granted, I think Lamar Miller actually did get a first down there, but you ran on 3rd and 8. That's just screams we're punting the ball. They did not try because this is what the Patriots did on offense. They kept their safeties on the corners of the field so no deep throws would happen. So you got to beat them on the short route. Okay, seems fine. There is also this one play. So Brock Osweiler threw a pick. He almost threw another one, and it was exactly the same play that the Seahawks did in the Super Bowl. That you know how that put Malcolm Butler on the map.
Right.
Except the only difference from that play, DeAndre Hopkins was on the left side. Didn't matter. Butler almost picked that off. He almost did the exact same play that made him into a pro. That made him iconic.
And
It makes me wonder, did the Texans think, oh, we'll succeed where the Seahawks failed? Because it did not happen at all. The difference was
yeah,
Seattle. The difference was that Seattle had the Seahawks had a good game. They were playing lights out with their rookie player, their undrafted rookie, the wide receiver. I forget his name.
oh yeah, Chris Matthews or something like that.
I'm not sure.
Something like
Ruben
that.
Randall.
I don't read.
I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, they had other players beat the crap out of the Patriots secondary. Although it was fine, the Patriots won in the end. As for Houston, though, on offense, Belichick punished Bill O'Brien for that horrible play, for not even trying. He did. I don't know what the offense was thinking. They did not try they didn't try anything bold. Your only highlights were DeAndre Hopkins highlights, but that's just a guarantee. But that's about it. Lamar Miller got a couple first down runs. That's about it on his side. Tight ends didn't do jack. There were actually a lot of drop balls that the tight ends made. I don't know if they were on
Oh
Brock
yeah.
Osweiler. Some were definitely on the players. They just did not secure the ball. They didn't catch it.
I mean, I saw one where C.J. Fedorowicz just flat out dropped the football. I
Yep.
mean, just flat dropped it.
Yep, and like I said, that's why I think he's garbage. And here's a line from halftime. What's his name? The it's the Houston Chronicle beat writer John McClain. He heard the halftime speech that O'Brien was giving to the team. I will quote it to you to the best of my ability. We're down. We need to put some fucking points on the board. It's 10 to fucking nothing. Let's get out there and put out at some point something like that. I'm paraphrasing it because I got it wrong. I could check. I could go find it on Twitter, but that was days ago, and I don't think I want to bother to look at that. But that's basically what he said. Lots of swearing. You know, the Bill O'Brien charm that we all love when we watch Hard Knocks.
The Bill O'Brien experience basically
Yeah.
appeared.
Yep. So The offense was bad. Special teams was bad. There was 2 muff punts. Charles James, I believe, fumbled both of them. The Hard Knocks hero, since we got to stay there, he muffed a punt. He let one go, and Tyler Irving dropped the other. However, what he did, he held the ball in his offhand.
Yep.
That's easy.
Yeah, that for a defensive player, if it's in your offhand, your non-dominant hand, that is a fumble waiting to happen right there. I mean, that's a fumble waiting to happen, and and both of those muffed punts led to both of the Patriots' touchdowns, and that gave the Patriots a short field, and was a huge determining factor in the game. It really kind of flattened any Houston Texans momentum that they might achieve.
Yeah. So what did they do? What did Bill Belichick take away in this game? I will tell you what they took away. They didn't take away DeAndre Hopkins or Will Fuller. I mean, they kind of did, but that wasn't the main focus. The main focus was the pass rush. The offensive line played very well. If your final results for the whole game was 1 sack and 4 QB hits, you played a great game as an offensive line if you only allowed that much. There was no, other than those moments, there were no chance that the Texans could have stopped or could have hit or sacked Jacoby Brissett, or as some people call him, Jake Brisket, which he's no brisket. I want some brisket, but they protected him well. This offensive line played great, and I have no doubt they're going to do something like this with the Denver Broncos. And I know the Denver Broncos watched this game because they wanted to see how the offensive line responds to J.J. Watt. Now they're going to adjust it with Von Miller, which that's not till later in the year when it's late November, early December. Houston gets to play them in October when it's not snowing. Well, hopefully.
Which is always a good thing. You don't want them playing the snow games.
Yep. But they took away the pass rush. J.J. Watt, Clowney, and Merciless couldn't do shit this time. This last time when they played, that was a battered offensive line. But the fact that they're able to play with year 1, year 2 players, and mind you, they also traded an offensive lineman to the Browns for Markevius Mingo, however you say his name.
Oh, Markevius Mingo.
Yeah, and they still look dominant. I mean, this line made the Cowboys line look number 2 or 3 on the list of great offensive lines this year. Makes me wonder, when Brady comes back, just how good is this offense going to be?
Right. I mean, and the other thing with the Patriots is the Patriots offense played amazingly well, even with Gronkowski in a very limited role. He didn't have a catch. He had 0 yards. I mean, he was in such a limited capacity, and yet they still won that game.
Yeah.
They still moved the football. I mean, it was the dominance of LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount was slashing holes all over the defense and just pounded the ball right at the heart of that Texans defense, which is a sight to behold because LeGarrette Blount plus freaking J.J. Watt, and oh my god, it's like 2 semi-trucks hitting each other.
Yeah. So, Bill, now here's a couple questions for the Texans. First, is Brock Osweiler the guy? Because now, the day after, John Elway talked to the media to mention that he was glad he didn't sign Brock Osweiler. Now, to that I say, didn't you try to sign him and he just rejected the contract offer?
Right.
It's not that you didn't want to sign him, you did. But you're kind of glad he rejected it.
And here's the other issue is, he wasn't, 100% sold on Trevor Siemian. I mean, literally, why would you bring in Mark Sanchez if you were totally, sold on a quarterback? No matter who it is.
Yeah. And I think sooner or later, with enough tape, and they start showing off all of the Broncos playbook this year, these teams are going to start to figure out how to break Simeon.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know who's it going to be, because the Broncos are 3-0 right now, and I'm just thinking they're due for a loss at some point. The only teams I can think of that can beat them are division rivals like the Chiefs, which I think they're going to split. I know they're going to split. The Panthers are out. They were the other hope I had, but now they're done. Now, unless they lay an egg to one of the other NFC teams, I can't see any of them. The Texans maybe, and the Patriots. But they're going to definitely try to beat the Patriots. They're going to definitely give it all they have to beat them. But I think as long as everything holds and they're not being riddled with injuries, the Patriots will lay the smack down on the Broncos, I believe. They're going to expose Trevor Siemian, and I think it's downhill for him from there.
Oh yeah.
Because my bold prediction of them not being a playoff team is already starting to fade, unless they bomb.
Okay.
Another thing worth mentioning, the last time the Texans went 2-0, do you want to know what happened?
What?
They lost every single game afterwards.
Oh jeez.
You know that season. That was 3 years ago. I do not want to relive that.
Right?
Everything has
Oh,
clicked
geez.
up until this point. Everything felt right. It felt like once the offense settles in and glues itself together, this team could be a Super Bowl contender. The Patriots, it pretty much made them look like wannabes. They made them look like scrubs. However, the other thing is the Texans still have a one-game lead in the division, and they get to play a massacred Titans team, which, when we get to the picks, I think it's good to go from the Patriots to the Titans because you have a chance to just make another statement and just crush. If you just crush the Titans, like you shut them out too, or you just blow them out of the water, just a blowout, and they only get touchdowns via garbage time. That shows,
Right.
yeah, we couldn't beat the Patriots, but we'll beat any other team that gets in our way. We are definitely not a joke.
Right.
Because that was an early game, and it's better to get the Patriots early and then towards late when the games really start to matter.
Right. I mean, the Patriots are really. This is the time to get them all the time, and you know, typically they're more susceptible to losing in the early part of the season rather than the late part of the season.
Like, if you want me to be
The
honest, if I could change my early, we made those picks at the beginning of the season. If I could change it, I would probably change a loss to the Broncos, but a win against the Bengals, because the Bengals look like, on offense, they look like where Houston was last year, where they only had Hopkins and that was it. The Bengals look like they just have AJ Green and that's it. Tyler
yeah,
Eifert hasn't
well,
shown up yet. He's still hurt.
Eifert's getting close though, so I mean,
Yeah, but if you
he's
mean,
within a week
I don't
or
know.
two.
I don't think those two alone will be enough if their run game isn't as good as it was the year
I
before.
mean, I mean, there was getting ahead of ourselves, but the Cincinnati Bengals run games seemed to strain itself out in that Broncos game, and the Broncos didn't look really good.
They still won though.
They won, but they gave up a lot of points.
Yeah, well they did to the Colts too. I think on defense they let go of the gas.
Oh yeah.
I can guarantee you they won't do that to the Patriots though. They just have a huge hatred for them. But
Oh,
I
definitely.
will say this, after this game, I think I know exactly why everyone hates the Patriots. That loss was like, I've seen teams I like lose to the Patriots, and I was like, I expected it. This was horrible. It doesn't get any more worse than this. Well, it can be. Another
I mean,
point added on, and this would feel even worse. But I think I come to understand exactly how much people hate, or why people hate the Patriots. But this is all I can say to that. Let the Patriots win the Super Bowl this year. Give them the damn ring. Give Brady the damn ring, and then he'll leave. Maybe Belichick leaves. And if not for that, Josh McDaniels is probably going to go be a coach somewhere. I don't know where, but who knows?
oh
Hey,
man,
Bill, I can name you one place he might be good at.
where?
Detroit.
I mean, it might happen.
I mean, you
Because
got the
now it's
GM. He probably
I
knows
don't,
Josh McDaniels.
yeah, I don't see him I don't see Jim Caldwell surviving the season after performances like we saw.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe he might go there because he's got a familiar face.
Right.
But anyway, speaking of the Lions, because I think that's all I can see on the Texans, they have, because the only big teams they have here, like here are the next games before the bye: home to Titans, at Vikings, home to Colts, at Broncos. Oh, home to Colts on Sunday night, by the way, and home to Lions. Then a bye week. Then you go at Jacksonville, which I'm not afraid of Jacksonville anymore.
Right.
I don't think anyone is. Which
Nope.
I want to talk about that when we get to the end of the when we get towards the end of the podcast. Because this is why you should never board a hype train. But anyway,
Right.
so look, those road games and the Colts games are those three in the middle are going to be a bit challenging. I was originally thinking the Vikings are no slouch. I don't think they are, and I wonder if if Teddy Bridgewater never broke his leg the way he did, would these guys be like, they would have been the Panthers of last year, the breakout team that comes out of nowhere and just makes a run for the Super Bowl.
I would say yes.
It probably would have been them, so it makes it really unfortunate for them that they did that. But I don't know. I think if it's two good defenses and if the Texans, I know the Texans will make Sam Bradford a joke. That's where I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
It's a matter of which defense wreaks the most havoc. Like the turnovers, how many do these teams come up with? And which ones become the more important ones? You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
That's what I think it comes down to, how the defenses perform. Same can be said with Denver and Houston.
Right.
But Denver's offense is clicking, and I fear for that. That's what I'm afraid of. I didn't want them to click so soon, but anyway, let's move on to Detroit. Now, Detroit at the before halftime, it was what, 31 to 3.
It was 31-7. Something.
31. It was
like
31-3, but it was 31-3. But before the end of the half, Stafford takes a shot to Marvin Jones, 70-yard touchdown, just about 70 yards. It makes it 31-10 at the half. So Lions getting some momentum. How many points do the Packers score in the second half? 3. And the Lions were within a touchdown, but Green Bay just outran the clock in Lambeau because that's what they are good for. They're good at wasting time, even if they're not running the ball.
I mean, the issue, you hit the nail right on the head right there, is they basically, they ran the football to end the game. They didn't even try to step on the throat of the Lions. You got to put teams away. That is what you need to do. And the Detroit Lions had no business being in that game. They had no business because they were thoroughly outplayed in the first half. And I give my Lions credit for coming back and making a game out of it. But the defense of the Lions in the first half was an absolute embarrassment. It was embarrassing to watch them play. I literally turned the game off because I was not going to watch it because I could not stand to see the Green Bay Packers fans happy.
Yeah.
And I do not want to see their fans at all happy. And I want to, if any team's going to beat my team, I don't care if it's the Vikings, I don't care if it's the Bears, but for sure, I do not want to see Green Bay happy at all. I want to see Minnesota win the division. If it's not Detroit, Minnesota, please win the division.
Now they got to beat him in Lambeau.
But Jordy Nelson was back to his old shenanigans, begging for flags. The typical Jordy Nelson that we missed for a whole year. He was back asking for flags. It's like, it was holding pass interference. The typical Jordy Nelson stuff.
I don't think he knows, though. Before he got hurt, they added that rule, or they enforced the possibility of offensive pass interferences. Those are getting called much more frequently now, so Who knows? When he's bitching for a flag, he might have been the one that actually instigated it.
Exactly.
Hope to see that
But
actually.
the other thing is uh, I honestly believe that this is Jim Caldwell's last season in Detroit, whether he wins and gets to the playoffs or not. And
Josh McDaniels.
there's just Josh McDaniels could be a coach for the Lions. I would say, you know, that what Detroit is doing is, Jim Caldwell is too calm of a coach. I mean, sure, Belichick is a calm coach on the sideline, but he is a fiery guy inside the locker room. It seems
Well,
like
he's just a
Jim
tactical
Caldwell.
genius.
Yeah, he's a tactical genius. He makes the adjustments at halftime, but it's from an intense desire to not lose and be extremely competitive. And I don't think Jim Caldwell has that same fire. You got to find someone that has that fire to win. Just win and win and win. And, you know, it makes me sad that John Harbaugh is doing well in Baltimore, because I could see a Harbaugh being a very Detroit Lions coach. But I'll put it this way: the Lions are showing me exactly why Jim Caldwell is going to get fired. And believe me, here in Detroit, it's been trending. People want him gone, and they wanted him gone last year. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time.
Do you think they might make Jim Bob Cooter the head coach? I don't think he will do
possible.
better as a head coach. I like where he is as offensive coordinator.
It's very possible. I mean, he has the ability to call a great game. I don't think he's
Well, if
right
Stafford
now
puts up
head coach.
5,000 yards, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna want Cooter.
I mean, he of everyone on the coaching staff, Jim Bob Cooter is an amazingly bright offensive.
Jim Bob Cooter
coach.
for president.
Yep, exactly.
But Bill, I don't think there's any more room to discuss this. Marvin Jones is the number one receiver for the Lions.
Oh, by a long shot. By a long shot. 6 receptions for 200 and 5 yards and 2 touchdowns? It was a performance that even Calvin Johnson didn't have.
Yeah. I think because Marvin Jones meant for speed, that's why.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, he's a home run hitter.
Yeah. We just gotta give enough open space. And I think that's gonna basically would keep the Lions in it. Their wide receivers are definitely always gonna do damage.
Oh yeah. I mean, the offense is what's going to keep the Lions in it. It's just, will their defense please, for the love of God, gel? Oh, and the last thing I want to talk about, and it's something that was driving me nuts the entire game, is our return guy, Andre Roberts. Please, kneel the ball in the end zone. Do not return the ball out of the end zone and then get us stuck at the 15-yard line, because that sets up negative field position, and it was costing us in the end. It was costing us a lot of yards.
Plus, I like the new position of 25 yards. If I get it in the end zone, I will pretty much kneel unless there is a lot of open space that my team can make, which is it's very rare. I mean, you're not the Chiefs, which Chiefs probably have the best special teams punt returner in the NFL.
I mean, I like this new rule where it's either take it to the 25-yard line or, return it.
Yeah, kickers have to try and not get it in the end zone.
Right, and I like this because if it's at the 2-yard line, you can pin a team really deep in their own.
Well, you have to force them to run for it. That's what. That's the point of it.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I like that rule, and I hope it stays. But knowing the NFL, they're the no fun league. Obviously, they want a bunch of touchbacks, so they're going to probably get rid of that rule. So for once, I like a rule change in the NFL,
Yeah.
and it's a rule that they're not going to keep because they gotta make sure for quote unquote player safety,
Yeah.
like they care.
Anything else to mention with the Lions, Bill? Because like I said, the only thing I
No,
can praise is their offense, because that's the only thing that's good.
yeah, the special teams and defense get a F in my opinion, and the offense gets a B plus. And with that, I think we can move on to an offense that was pretty good against a really shitty team.
Yep, the hype train's already going like I already expected. Lions, the Cowboys, played Chicago in Sunday Night Football against Brian Hoyer. They steamrolled them. The score is a lot different, more different than you suggest. It's pretty much almost a reenactment of the Lions Packers game, but the difference was the Lions don't have a higher octane offense, unlike the Bears. The Bears were playing in garbage time, but
Oh yeah,
basically here's the rundown. Everyone already wants to grant Dak Prescott Rookie of the Year. If not him, Ezekiel Elliott, but pretty much Dak Prescott, which I already have a counter to that about why he probably won't get it if he's playing the way he's been playing still. Anyway, so they got Ezekiel, he ran in for a touchdown. He threw a touchdown pass, and I believe one was ran in. No, I think there were two throws. I'm not sure. 'Cause I know he threw one to Dez, and he threw one to. He had many chances where some could have been in the end zone, like Witten almost got in the end zone, Beasley almost
yeah,
got in,
Beasley.
but they were always on the 1 yard line.
Yep.
So those were mostly ran in. Of course, well, it was a lot of field goals too, but there was a lot of points put up on the board by Dallas, and they chewed up a lot of the clock. Ezekiel Elliott also had his first 100 rush game, but again, this is a bad defense whose only good positions group is the linebacker position, which you couldn't trust them either to stop Ezekiel Elliott. I would be disappointed, and I would have been saying, "Ha, he is a waste of a pick if he didn't get 100 yards against this scrub team." But enough of me being negative. I will give credit where credit is due. Dak Prescott played well. I still think the defense is not that good. I mean, because you let them come back in garbage time. I mean, I don't think they had a chance anyway.
Right.
But Morris Claiborne probably had his best game. He was last year's first round pick, who is a corner, so he can't do it alone. I'm hoping Dallas will decide, hey, we have plenty of wide receivers, we have plenty of running backs and tight ends. How about we go get a defensive player for once? Or hell, why don't you trade Darren McFadden once he gets better and get a defensive player? If people
Right.
want him, he says he might not be able to stretch his arm the way he did ever again. Good job. All for an iPhone, which you could have bought like 10 iPhones and still had plenty of money left to spare. Good job,
I
kid.
mean,
Hope it was worth it. But anyway, one thing I will say about Dallas, Dak Prescott's playing well, but I don't think he's going to stay, even if they win the rest of their games, which is highly unlikely. Because Romo's coming back before the bye. We know this. This is a fact. That's when they come back to play the Eagles, and let's take a look at who they have. Let's look at what they have till that bye. So I believe they have no. They get a bye in week 7. So not that far off compared to Houston. So here's what they got. At 49ers, I believe when we get to the picks, easy win. I think they could take this one. These are all 4:30 games. Then home to Cincinnati. Then at Green Bay. Those two, I guarantee that Andy Dalton and Aaron Rodgers are going to expose the Dallas defense like the garbage that it is. Granted, they'll have some of their players back, like DeMarcus Lawrence. He's coming back, but that's not going to be enough. You could get everybody back, and I don't think they'll stop both of these guys.
right.
And that's because even when Romo comes back, you got to have at Steelers, home to Ravens, then later on at Vikings on a Thursday, at Giants.
Yeah.
Not an easy task, if you ask me. It is not an easy task.
Yeah, they've got a lot of tests coming up.
Like those games, you could lose all of them, and you'll be at what 7 losses?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. They've already lost one, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. And there's still divisional games like the Eagles, which, if the Eagles keep playing the way they are, they're probably going to split with them too. So I feel an 8-8 is coming, or a 7-9. I believe on my thing I called 7-9 for my early assessment of them. I tried to be fair because if I could choose, I'd give them 4-12. Look, you got half your wins for the season. That's what I would pick, but I had to try to be fair. So I gave them. I gave you my results. But you see what I mean, Bill? Their defense is going to get exposed. In some cases, the offense is going to be shut down because you have the Ravens' defense playing okay. It's playing good. Terrell Suggs is back and being the dirty player that he is, because I think he plays he's not Ndamukong Suh dirty, but he is just a very physical, beat you up type of bully player.
Right.
And then you got the Vikings, who I guarantee are going to hold Dallas to 10 or less points. Because that's how they play. They like playing those low-scoring slugfest games where you win on turnovers alone.
Definitely.
But so Bill, how do you feel about the Cowboys? Do you think Dak Prescott should be automatically crowned the Rookie of the Year?
No.
Why?
No, and there's a very simple reason, and that is Carson Wentz is the better quarterback and playing better overall. Just think of the expectations for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz wasn't expected to play very well. He didn't play in any preseason games, and he hasn't thrown an interception yet this season.
And he's won all his games.
Yeah, he's won all of his games, and overall, I would say right now, Carson Wentz is the better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Let's look at the games they've played. Both sides. Let's look at Dak Prescott. What teams has he played? Giants, Washington football team, and the Bears. Who has Carson Wentz played? He has played Pittsburgh, he's played the Browns, and I believe he also played... Who was the other team? He's also...
Bears, right?
Chicago.
Yeah.
By the way, they're on a bye week right now. The bye weeks are coming into play right now. So after that, they have your Lions, Bill. And guess what? I heard these from the grapevines, but people are saying Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator for them.
Well, he is a good defensive coordinator, but here's the thing with Jim Schwartz coached teams. They're dirty as all hell. They're dirty teams, and it's just no different with the Philadelphia Eagles. His teams always play a very rough, dirty style of football. And you saw it with the Lions. The Lions were a dirty football team under Jim Schwartz. They did a lot of underhanded, dirty things with Ndamukong Suh. And, I mean, if you look at Buffalo, look at how many personal foul penalties that Schwartz had, and then now he's in Philadelphia.
So, Bill, aren't you excited to face Jim Schwartz again? I know you have.
I can't wait. I can't wait to beat him.
Yeah, I know you have a score to settle with him, rightfully so. I mean, I'm hoping that happens, and you carry whichever. I would hope you carry Jim Bob Cooter off the field, in front of him, preferably. So that way you just stick it to Jim Schwartz for all the things he said. But that's not for another week. Right now, you have Chicago on your hands, and there's not much else I really want to say on Dallas aside from good job, enjoy your hype train, because, yeah, you have the 49ers, but after that, it gets much more rough from there. You're not going to have the easiest time, because Bengals, Packers, then you get to deal with the Eagles, who are 3-0 right now, so I can't call it a fluke anymore because they beat a really good. They not only beat Pittsburgh, they held them to 3 points. So the Eagles look like the team to beat. First, they look like the Giants, but then the Giants let one go to the Washington football team. So, Bill, let's talk about that. So, how is that game? Because I know you have things to mention about it.
Well, the Washington football team, you know, all the hype and build up between the Josh Norman and Odell Beckham feud for months on end, right? Well, during the game, Odell Beckham was running a route, and Josh Norman out of nowhere just picks Odell Beckham up and runs him towards the sideline in like a bear hug. You know, picks him up and ran him towards the sideline, towards the referee. The referee's just standing there looking at it, and no penalty flag, no nothing. They let it go on, and it was quite the feud. It was quite a interesting thing that happened between those two. I think overall, Odell sort of got a little bit the better of the matchup, but it was kind of a
I
close
don't know
matchup.
about that because he got way too emotional. Eli Manning telling him to stop acting like that. He let Josh Norman get to his head again.
Right. But he always does, and
That's because
I
Odell
mean,
Beckham is still young. He's still like a college frat boy.
right. I mean, he's young. He lets everything get to him.
Yeah,
He
honestly, I'm just
reminds
waiting for him to play another good cornerback. And I
and
don't
he
know who they're going
reminds
to
me
play
of Des
next.
Bryant.
What?
He reminds me of a young Des Bryant. He lets
Well,
everything get
Des
to him.
Bryant still lets things get to him. Hell, they could be winning, and as long as he doesn't get a touchdown or get a big play, he's going to get mad. Why aren't you throwing the ball to me?
I mean, and as his career goes on, he will come to appreciate, you know, the. I mean, the less hits you take, the longer you are in the league.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. So,
Yeah,
you
but
know, sometimes it's a better thing that you don't get thrown your way and you just act as a decoy.
once again, the Giants literally throw a game away. In a game they should have
Right.
won, they let it go. I'm fine with that. I mean, let this division be hard to get.
Right. It's going to be an interesting division.
Yep.
Again, I think it's only going to be 9-7 or 8-8 that wins this division.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time until all these teams get to run into Green Bay, Detroit,
Minnesota.
I mean, Dallas doesn't count because Dallas. Chicago doesn't count because Chicago's terrible.
Yep. But I will say this. I think at one point before everything happened, I once considered making the bold prediction that there would have been three NFC North teams would have made the playoffs because I believed it was during like OTAs after the draft. I believed that the NFC North would be the best division in all of football. I can't say so far yes. If I have to tell you which one I think is the best division, then it's probably the AFC West. Because the Raiders are 2-1, the Chiefs are 2-1, and the Broncos are 3-0.
Yep.
They don't have a team that's lost all their games. Because I think there's about 2 or 3 divisions where one team is still 0-3. There's the AFC South, the AFC North, and so far the NFC South as well. Assuming the Saints don't win this game. Oh, and technically the NFC North as well because of the Bears.
Right.
That's what's holding them back.
Yep.
But well, anyway, So another game. Speaking of, no, not the NFC South. Speaking of, let's talk about AFC and an NFC showdown. Panthers never lost a home game since like 2 years ago. They were their stadium was the new clink for the year, and the Vikings went over there. I mean, it was 10-0, and after that, the Panthers couldn't do anything. Cam Newton, it's like they just think I hate this guy, so let's beat him up. And that's what they do. They beat up Cam Newton. He gets beaten up by the Broncos. He's got beaten up by the Vikings. They beat him up, stole his lunch money, and took his car.
Right?
The Vikings defense is insanely disgusting. The Vikings are the NFC Broncos because this is what they have. Excellent defense, maybe one or two good pieces on offense, and unsure on what to do at quarterback.
They're going to be a great team, and they already are a great team. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's if they had a quarterback,
If they had
that
Bridgewater,
was
they probably would be that breakout team.
oh yeah, I would say that if they had Bridgewater, they're going to the Super Bowl this year because Arizona doesn't look anywhere.
That makes me
similar to what
angers
they
me. I was hoping they would be 3-0 or 2-1. I would take 3-0, 2-1. But they let one go to the Bills, and it was badly. Like the first 5 drives were 3-and-outs, and the last 4 drives ended in picks.
Right. It was not a good sight for any Cardinals fan. I mean, that game was pretty
Yeah, then
pathetic.
you got home to Rams, and I would say that's an easy win. But the last 2 times the Rams went over there, they've owned your asses.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say that one's an easy win. It could be stolen. And the last thing I want to see is Bruce Arians 1-3. I mean, they're third place of the division. They're third or tied for fourth right now in the division because the Seahawks are 2-1. But I don't think the Seahawks are going to enjoy that positive position for too long, considering
Right.
Russell Wilson got hurt in his other leg. So now it's like before, it's like he was running with the ball and chain on his hurt leg. Now he's got 2 balls and chains. Or hell, no, he's got blocks attached to his legs.
Right.
So he has to run with that. He can't run. He's a statue.
Exactly.
He might not play against the Jets, which is fine. I would prefer they follow the same route they did with Adrian Peterson and the Vikings instead of let's make him play sooner, which will definitely impact his health in the future. Let's take him out, let him get completely recovered, and bring him back because it's a sprained MCL. It's not torn. He's fine.
Right. I mean, he's most likely going to sit in the back.
Plus,
and not
you got
be
beat up
running.
by the 49ers there, and they're not a good team. I mean, they spanked them. They spanked the 49ers on offense, but the defense of the 49ers still got to Russell Wilson and hurt him because that line is not good. It's not good.
Yeah. The offensive line, ever since they traded Max Unger away,
Yeah.
they have been absolutely terrible.
And then to top that off, guess who they get next? The Jets. With, let's see, who do they have on there again? Oh, Sheldon Rankins, Muhammad Wilkerson. They have, what's his name? Leonard Williams. 3 defensive players that will break an entire offensive line. They will
Right.
push them all to the floor.
Oh yeah.
So good luck with that. And of course, they still got to play the Rams later on. They play them once, they got to play them twice.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, good luck with that. That's the best I can tell the to Seahawks fans. Good luck with that. Another game, the last game I think we will discuss is, oh boy, this one. Okay, Bill. So how about Miami, Cleveland? Cleveland would have had this, but they missed 3 kicks because they signed a different kicker the day before the game.
Yep. And I mean, really, it tells you 2 things. One, that the Miami Dolphins are not a good team. because they are just not a good team. I mean, if you're going to lose to Cleveland, I mean, it just tells me that you're not a good team. And two is that the Cleveland Browns are kind of feisty this year. They're kind of feisty. They're not just rolling over and dying for teams. They're actually giving a fight.
Yeah, well, that's Hugh Jackson right there at work.
Yeah, their special teams is letting them down. The one bright spot from the game that Cleveland fans can take solace in is Terrell Pryor. I mean, Terrell Pryor had a game.
Yep. Terrell Pryor played quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and safety. That's some 70s football or high school football right there, where you don't play just one position. It was impressive. Too bad if he won the game. If they won the game, he would have had the game ball. In fact, I'd give him 4 game balls for each position he played. It's pretty bad. What?
I mean, he played really well for all the different positions that he played. I mean, completing a pass in the NFL, he was originally a quarterback. And to play wide receiver, running back, and safety in the NFL after not being in the league for 2 years just tells you that I think he's actually matured and he's here to play now.
Yeah. As for the Dolphins, you should have lost this. You should be 0-3. In fact, the Browns should have been 2-1. Because there is that, I mentioned it to you last week, that flag where he unintentionally, he didn't know he was there, where he threw the ball where the Ravens player was, didn't know he was there, got a flag for taunting.
Right.
And if that didn't happen, they might have scored the touchdown. They might have scored the touchdown and win the game.
Right. I mean, literally the two things that you never want to see your team lose by, the referees for one, and two is your kicker. You just don't want to see your team lose, not because of your offense or defense. It's because of kicker or the referees, and both have happened to the Cleveland Browns this year.
Yeah. What's unfortunate is, well, they could have been the worst 2-1 team, but that would have been much more progress to the fans of Cleveland. It's like, yeah, we're winning some games, we're stealing some games. That's good, but I don't think they'll fire Hugh Jackson this year. But he definitely needs to win some games because the Cleveland Browns, and that's the one thing to mention. Corey Coleman broke his hand, and he's out for a month. And that guy was making plays against the Ravens. He made 2 touchdowns,
right,
with Josh McCown. So it really shows you just how pain the franchise. There's a reason why this team is number 1 in the pain rankings.
Right.
All right, Bill. So I think it's time we move on to the picks.
Oh man, here we go.
All right, we're on to week 4 because, Bill, you and I got a lot of games wrong. There were some upsets, and there's just some close games. It was bad.
This is always typically what happens at the beginning of the year. You just never know what a team's on come out looking like. So to start this off is the Thursday night game, which is the Dolphins at the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bengals need this win. They just as much as the Dolphins, but the Bengals, come on. You lost the game to the Broncos at home. You got to take care of business against the bum Miami team. I'm going Cincinnati.
I'm going Cincinnati as well. The Miami Dolphins defense is pretty bad, and Ryan Tannehill is going to throw 2 interceptions. That's all he seems to be doing this year. All right, so now the London game, the 9:30 in the morning game, the Indianapolis Colts at the London Jaguars.
The London Jaguars, they are 0-3. They are in a desperate position. Gus Bradley, if he wants to keep his job, he will do all he can to not let Andrew Luck either get ahead or come from behind. With Andrew Luck, you have to never let go of the gas. You have to keep the pedal on his throat. You can't let him come back because we've seen the Colts could have been 3-0 if he made his complete comebacks against the Lions and the Broncos. This guy is carrying the Colts on his back single-handedly. So the last thing you want is to go 0-4 against a team that you can beat because the Colts defense is garbage. I'm going with Jacksonville, or excuse me, I'm going with the London Jaguars here.
And as much as it pains me to say this, because I think this is going to be a 42-35 game, I'm going Indianapolis. I can't really even. I can't even really decide because both teams have very similar traits. They're both
To me, I think the difference
area.
is I trust Ramsey more than all the other cornerbacks in the Colts combined, and I will trust the line to do get to Andrew Luck a bit more.
Right. All right. So here we go. The Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans.
The Titans come to town, battered and bruised from losing not only to the Vikings, but also to the Raiders. The Raiders just shut them out in the fourth quarter. They did not allow Marcus Mariota to stay hot and try to mount a comeback, which, good on the Raiders, man. I wanted them to win that one. I know you did too, Bill. But I'm going to go with Houston. They are mad. They need to take it out on somebody, and the Titans are the perfect team to bounce back and make your presence renowned to the NFL and say, we do not want to be pretenders anymore.
And I totally agree with your assessment. The Houston Texans are going to crush the Titans, but I have a vendetta against the Titans this year because they didn't deserve to win that game. So therefore, I'm picking against them the entire year.
All right.
Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Washington Football Team.
Well, the whole RG3 returns to Washington narrative is completely thrown out the window. I'm going with the Washington Football Team to now start getting back on track. All the Kirk Cousins doubt is going to go out of the window when the Redskins, I said it, when the Washington Football Team blows out the Cleveland Browns. Or excuse me, they're the Washington Browns according to Fox. So it's the Browns against the Browns. I see no difference here. I see no problem here, actually.
I got the Washington Football Team also defeating the Browns.
Hey, they're the Washington Browns. Get it right.
Oh man. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks at the New York Jets.
I'm going with the Jets to bounce back. It won't be pretty. This is probably going to be a 12-6 type of game. Ugly, and when I say 12-6, I mean a touchdown, a field goal, and a safety from from the Jets. It's going to be hard fought and it's going to be disgusting. But I'm going to put my money on the Jets because I don't think Russell Wilson's going to play. If he knows what's good for him, he'll want to miss this game. The Jets do not fuck around on defense.
Both teams are going to play a defensive slugfest. This is a 13-10 game. I totally agree. But I got the Seahawks winning. It has all the hallmarks of a very close game, and it's really, I trust a little bit more the Seahawks than the Jets, especially after 6 interceptions for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Next up, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots.
I don't doubt the Patriots at all. I'm not going to pick against them ever again. I have New England.
I also have New England. I shouldn't have picked against them. I knew I was in the wrong. I'm sorry, New England. I didn't mean it. And look, it's Buffalo and Rex Ryan, and
they should be 0-3.
New England does very bad things to Rex Ryan teams nowadays. Next up, the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons.
Bill, I'm going to go nuts. I think the Panthers are going to go 1-3. This is one of my upsets of the week right here. I have the Falcons. Matt Ryan after losing to the Saints barely. I think the Falcons offense is going to rip apart the secondary of the Panthers, which I think is one of their weaker points, if you want me to be honest. That and a bit of the offensive line. There's no need to rush the quarterback when Matt Ryan can hang toe to toe with Cam Newton.
And I got Carolina. I just feel like they're done come back and be focused.
Maybe.
Next up, the Oakland Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, Bill. I want to know who you got for this one first.
All right, so as much as I can't pick. See, the Raiders' defense is not as good as the Ravens' defense, and the Ravens' defense is just marginally better, and I'm just on pick the Ravens, though I can easily see how the Raiders will win this game.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I originally picked the Raiders here. I'm hoping for an upset too, but I already picked my upset of the week, and that was the Falcons. I don't want to get too trigger happy here, but here's the thing. The Ravens, last time these two played, it was an all-out slugfest. So many players were lost this on the last time, so I'm thinking it's going to be just as ugly. I think it's going to maybe not be it's going to maybe be a high-scoring game a bit. I'm thinking 24-21 Ravens, because this is at Baltimore. They have the bigger edge, so that's why I'm picking them, mostly because they're at home. If it was at Oakland, I'd pick Oakland.
Right. All right, so it's next up is the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears.
Perfect chance to bounce back. Jim Bob Cooter is going to help the Lions put 34 points on these poor little Bears. Calling 34-21 score. Brian Hoyer not going to do much other than those 3 touchdowns.
The Lions better get off their ass and play a good full game of football. I'm tired of watching one half of football and then they fall into a quicksand trap or something. They need a full 60 minutes of football, and this is going to be the game. The Lions will win.
Hope so.
Next up, the Denver Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm going Denver. The Buccaneers couldn't even stop the Rams. What makes you think they could stop the Broncos?
Exactly. I agree. I got the Broncos. I think Trevor Simeon's going to have another big game. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals.
I would have picked the Rams given the pass, but I have to pick the Cardinals. I just don't believe they'll go 1-3 to start the year. I just cannot accept that.
I don't accept that either. They're going to figure it out on offense, and they're going to just light up the Rams. I got the Cardinals. Next up, the New Orleans Saints at the San Diego Chargers.
Drew Brees going up against the team that wanted to draft him all those years ago. I'm going to go with the Chargers to strike back at Drew Brees. I think it's going to be a shootout. It might have like 40-35 final score. But I just think Phillip Rivers has a better overall team backing him up compared to Drew Brees.
I agree. I think San Diego is going to get into a shootout with New Orleans. This is a high-scoring affair, but I got San Diego. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, I'm going to have to go Dallas here. The 49ers should not even be 1-2. They should have been 0-3 if you ask me. But the Cowboys hype train does not stop yet. It's gonna come and run over Chip Kelly. As Ezekiel Elliott will probably run for another 100-yard game because this is a lousy defense. I've got the Cowboys.
I also have the Cowboys. I mean, Dak Prescott looks pretty good. I mean, if there's one thing that, is working for the Cowboys is that the 49ers offense likes to get off the field very fast. All right, so the Sunday night game, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm going with the Chiefs. I know it's hard to win in Heinz Field, especially on a primetime game, but You know what? I think Andy Reid has, just because the Eagles exposed the Steelers, I think Andy Reid has something planned for Big Ben and for Antonio Brown. I think Peters versus Brown is going to be a really good matchup. Granted, this is the game with the return of Le'Veon Bell, so that should be something to keep an eye on.
I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I just feel like they got embarrassed, and they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. Next up, the Monday night game, the New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings.
This is a really good Monday night game. I think it's the best one they have yet. But I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think the defense is going to shut down Odell Beckham. They're going to shut down Eli Manning, and it's going to be really hard for them to put up points.
I've got the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to absolutely put the clamps on that offense.
All right, Bill.
I mean, and Sam Bradford will do just enough to win.
All right, Bill. The next Thursday night game.
Just in case, that is the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going Arizona. After going 2-2, they're going to go 3-2, be back on the positive side of things. This is a perfect 1-2 way to go out and just get back and try to reclaim the top of the division.
And I have Arizona stomping the 49ers.
All right, then. I think that'll do it for this video. Have anything else to say for you, Bill?
I think I'm good there, sir.
All right, then. We will see you guys in another video.